back. We miss you. So I'm feeling good after a great weekend. My focus for this week is to just edit the next GM episode and also East Denver and everything related to the nonprofits that would be participating in our booth. And intentions for this call to sync with everyone, to catch up in whatever's happening at the forum. And I'll pass it to Kotave.
GM, everyone. Franco, welcome back. I am. I'm feeling good. My focus for this week is, I think, a little bit on Github grinds and push forward. Mo just made a quick demo of the Give Me Later, so also that. And intentions for the call is I'll pass it to Grip.
GM. I'm feeling pretty good. A little sad that I'm not with Lauren anymore, but managing that. And my focus for the week is, as always, fundraising, and the podcast actually is coming into a focus too. I really want to get another podcast out this week. And intentions for this call, I don't think I have any major intentions. I'll just hang out, and I'll pass it over to Carlos.
Yes, thank you, Griff. I'm feeling pretty good for this week. Many issues to tackle, mostly technical depths. So that's my focus. And here to listen, basically, sync up. I'll pass it to Mateo.
Thank you, man. Hey, guys. Happy great week. Here to be present. Nothing much to add. Very interesting topics this time. I'm feeling energetic, so yeah. Santi, did you go?
Thank you, Mateo. Feeling good this week. Focus is the PFP collection, some partnerships on the NFT area, and also try to move forward with the anti-recycling group, and just here to sync up. I'll pass it to Clara.
Claire, you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry, not that one again.
There, now I can hear you.
I'm feeling good this week. I've been a bit sick for a while, and today I'm feeling much better, so I'm happy about that. My focus for governance this week is to make sure I've caught up on any votes and proposals, praise quantifications, and contributor stats. My intention for the call today is, if we've got time, to introduce some of the stats we've been putting together for contributor hours worked, and maybe to get some feedback from you guys, what other information you'd like to see with these stats and what's useful for you and what's not so useful. I'm going to hand over to Ashley. Did you go? I don't have the...
No, not yet. Thank you, Claire. Hi, everybody. I'm feeling really good this week. Excited for all the new things that are on the plate in the future. My focus for governance this week is buddy calls. I've got a lot to do this week and a couple next week. So that's my main governance focus, as well as givebacks and ETH Denver budget. I have a lot more on my to-do list, but I'll save you the board. And my intentions for this call is just to sync up, see where the votes are needed, see what's on the plate in the forum, anything hot that I'm missing, and that's about it. I will pass it to Mo.
Hi. Sorry, I was looking for the unmute button, but I was on mute. Okay, so I'm feeling good. My focus for this week is a lot of improvement on the Giveth, and my intention just sync up with everyone. I pass it to Marco.
Thanks, Mo. Hi, everybody. I'm feeling good. My intentions for this call is just to hang out, to listen to anything governance related, really. I have one distraction that is 8% battery, and I forgot my charger. So at some point, I just might be gone until I until I get my charger back. And that's it. I pass it over. Sorry, Mitch, pass it back to you because I don't know.
Sure, let's give it to Amin.
Russian roulette.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to be updated and be helpful. Just that. I pass it back to you, Mitch.
Okay, thanks, Amin. Let's pass it to Nicola.
Thanks, Mitch. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. Well, I'm feeling honestly a little nervous because I have a big thing to mediate here, the biggest I've ever done so far here in my community. Whew, but I have a lot of things on my plate too, and my main focus this week will be for confirming Meet speakers, my body review call, Eve Denver focus. That's the main 3 goals, and I'm here to sync up, hang out with you guys, and let me see. Was this everyone? Jay, did you go?
I didn't. Thanks, Nicola.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm feeling.
Oh, Jake's going.
Wait, he just went?
Completely slammed into the ground by Lauren.
Sorry, no.
Go, Jake.
Sorry, Lauren, but I will pass it to you when I'm finished. I'm feeling a little hungry, a little distracted, but great to be here, ready to kick some ass this week on fundraising. That's the objective for me. As always, just listen and see where my voice can be heard. Lauren, take it away.
Thanks, Jake. Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah, I'm feeling all right, a little stressed and annoyed by things. And my focus for the week is, well, right now my focus for today is making sure that we get our Gitcoin grant up because there seems to be a little bit of confusion around there. At least I'm confused. And other than that, QF, looking into give power delegation, watching issues on the notification center, any like review for Twitter, yeah, I think that's like most of the things I'm focusing on. And ETH Denver and the swag that we're doing for it. I don't have any major attentions for the call, and I'll pass it back to Mitch.
Sure, let's give it to Nico.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just a bit sick because of the winter weather here in Spain. My focus for this week is Giveth Coda Contributor Database and the buddy calls facilitation. A lot of buddy calls are happening this week, and a lot of things in HR that needs to move forward. So we'll also have to take care of that. And my intention for this call is to listen. I'm passing it to Yas.
GM everyone. No particular intentions for the call, just to get caught up and listen in after my vacation and see what's happening. Feeling all right, and the intention for the week is to push forward with fundraising and yeah, get the ball rolling again. Pass it back to you, Mitch. Not sure who's left.
Sure, let's hear from Kai.
Hello. I'm feeling good, not distracted. Ready to listen. That's my intention for this call. And for this week, yeah, some maintenance as usual, and would love to get the bounty committee moving forward. Yeah. Various little things. I give it to Mo. No, you went already. Oh no.
We are Mo.
We have two Mo, but Monique, if you accept me.
What's gonna go wrong on our call?
Yeah. Hi everybody. I'm good. My intention for this week is chainline, new homepage, finalizing notification center, make it delivered, and my intention for this call here, try to engage myself in governance stuff. I'm a little bit distracted by the kid, and I pass it on to, let me see,
Left.
Heather.
Yep.
Yay, thank you. I'm feeling good. My intentions for this call is to just be updated about what's going on in the forum. And my intentions for this week are just sourcing candidates for the director of tech role, cleaning up the pipeline on recruiting, doing HR stuff, and then doing some speaker reviews for East Denver. And I will pass it to Breechies.
Good morning, everyone. I didn't sleep well, so I'm kind of tired. My intentions for this call is listen and know what is happening on Giveth. And I have a lot of work to do this week, and I don't know who is next. Can you help me, please?
Okay. Well, I sort of heard you. You were a bit quiet, but I think I got the gist of it. I think we got everybody, but interrupt me if I'm wrong. Okay. Let's get started. The first thing I have here is the contributor working hours for December. I think that's you, Claire.
Yep, that's me. It's not so much a priority, but I couldn't see where else to put it, so I added it in there. I can take it away if you want to.
Sure, I'm sharing the slide you had here.
Lovely, thanks. It's not very fancy yet. I just put it together just before the call here, so over the course of the weeks, I will start to make this look a bit more fancy. So we've been creating some reports and analysis each month to get to know our working structure and costs better. The intention has been to better understand how Giveth organises itself and where our efforts are focused. So thanks to everyone for completing the contribution forms each month, giving the number of hours you spend working in each working group. In conjunction with the role proposals, this provides a pretty good insight into where we plan to spend our time and where we actually spend our working time. And this is sort of according to the changing needs of our organisation. So it can better help us to understand when we need to update our role proposals, and so that each of the team members and our teams can remain informed and have a chance to comment on our contribution as we move through different projects. So the hourly contributions and costs per working group data has been finalised for December, and I thought it'd be interesting and useful to share some of the information with you. So on the first slide, I've just thought it would be quite useful to see how our organisation has changed a little bit in the way that it structures itself. We've now got 17 working groups in our 3 circles. So over the course of time, as our needs have changed, we've created different working groups and organised ourselves in a different way. And on the next slide, this is just a sort of introduction for today to see some of the information that we can produce based on the data that we now have. So I selected in the top pie chart, we've got percentage share of our actual hours. So what does this show? This is a sort of roundup of the hours contributed by our team per working group. And as you can see, in the month of December, our team was contributing most to devs, to communication, to design, Give Economy working group, and governance. the pie chart underneath shows how this translates, how these hours translate into the actual amount of XDI paid to contributors per working group. And then I thought, what do you think? I have an idea that it might be quite nice to add a little summary to each of this working group data each month. Maybe it could be the top, however many, top 5, or perhaps feature achievements from some of the smaller working groups to accompany the figures each month. Like, for example, say in December, the comms team were really active running Christmas giving campaigns and a look back at the year in review. So it could be quite nice to add some of this information to each of the statistics each month. On the right-hand side, this makes a comparison between the role proposals that we submitted, so the actual hours that we expected to spend in each working group, but more specifically for this chart, how those hours were compensated for the month of December. So the pink bar represents the hours that we anticipated working in each working group, and the blue line represents the hours that we actually contributed to each working group in December. Now, there's a bit of a caveat with December numbers because a few of us were on vacation, so this explains the sort of big variation between the expected and actual hours. And also within the data in December, quite a few of our contributors submitted application for their paid time off. So those numbers are also included in the actual hours, even though we weren't necessarily actively contributing. So I think that's okay as an introduction for this month. I'm going to throw it over to you because it would be interesting to hear the type of information that you would like to see, or was there anything in here that you weren't particularly interested in, or what do you think about supplying a bit more of color and context around these statistics?
Thanks. Well, I think this looks really interesting. What was I going to say? Around updates, like, I think it's a cool idea, and we kind of already do that every week with the community call, but would you imagine that, like, we publish this somewhere else?
Well, I was thinking, I know we do it with the weekly community call, but maybe it could be quite nice to have, a couple of sentences round up as a summary to say, communications were particularly busy this month because they had this campaign going. It was just a thought, just to make the numbers a bit less dry, I suppose.
Maybe this isn't exactly, but like the goal of this is to eventually make it so we can have budgets for these different working groups and then have them allocate their own funds. That's the plan, right?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal at some point in the future when we're ready to do this. It gives us more of an accounting view. Why were the hours spent or the costs different from what we expected, so that it allows the working groups to budget more effectively.
Is there going to be an effort to combine some of these working groups, or I guess we're dividing them in 3 parts, basically? Is that's sort of the strategy?
You mean by Sorry, go on, Mitch.
Oh, because we had that original thing, and we had the 3 Giveth circles, and then I believe, like as you said, Claire, all of these working groups are just things that people wrote in their role proposal.
Yeah, and also how they submit their contribution hours for the month currently.
Cool. Well, is there any next steps to continue working towards that goal?
The allocation of budgeting.
Yeah.
that would be the next steps. So we've got this at the moment, and then we can start putting a plan into action as to how we work towards that. But I think
one of the things that would be a dream is that, right now it's basically me hiring and firing and mismanaging the budget, or just not managing the budget. Maybe not mismanaging, just not managing. So I don't know. It feels like we're moving towards a really cool space with that, and I don't know what the next steps would be for getting closer to that goal.
So I think the next steps could be that we can get a few of us together and see how we work towards allocating budgets and beginning to put a plan into place.
Cool.
Cool. Anything else to comment on this?
If we can be able to compare it with the expected KPIs for each working group, it could be very super interesting. Right now we don't have any KPI for, at least we can define quarterly KPI and we can compare the budgets consumed with the, expected results. Something like this, it's just an idea.
So, Monique, would you see that being like each working group could come up with their own KPIs to enable the comparisons between the sort of contributed hours and the costs and the budgets allocated towards each working group?
Yeah, for example, we can ask every working group an expected result for their next quarter, maybe. And we can, have a kind of measurement about how they can fulfill it. Kind of, percentages. For example, they can say, for example, I'm going to be I'm going to provide, for example, 100 users for this, 1,000 users for this feature as a product manager. And then at the end of the quarter, I provided, for example, half of it. So I need this budget for this goal. So is it, they can be monitored, for example, after 2 or 3 quarters, we have, have a clue that which expected result was, fulfilled by specific budgets. So we can have a clue about what we did.
Cool. Well, that sounds good. I look forward to the next steps. I suppose, Claire, you're gonna, I guess, plan a meeting sometime in the future then to figure out the next. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Claire, and for Shell, and I'm sure a bunch of other people worked on this too. Let's look at some stuff in the forum, or not in the forum, in our DAOs next. As of last night, there was no new multi-sig transactions. Snapshot, last week the Karma governance integration proposal passed with a standard integration being the voted outcome. I am working with them to get their gardens proposal up. Seems like they want to do it themselves, which is awesome, instead of me doing it for them. So I'm just working with Mahesh to get that up. Give Garden. So nothing for now. As of last night, there was nothing new in the Give Garden. In the EnerGive DAO, we've got a few things. Most importantly, givebacks round 27. And also the nice distribution for round 27 as well are both up there to be voted on and have 24 hours to pass. And also an EnerGive request for Nico and for Rodri as well. So all the links are there in the agenda, and those are ready to be voted on, please, if you have NRGive. And after that, nothing else in the DAOs to be voted on. Some stuff in the forum here. I've got a note for the PFP collection utility poll from Santi. And so this is just a short poll to help us move forward on just the main points for the utility of the PFP collection. So go ahead and vote on those. Looks like we've already got pretty good engagement. 9 voters. Utility poll. So yeah, just a little note there. Any questions about that? Cool. Another one here was the rewards for project survey respondents. Looks like Claire is asking for how to give out the rewards. Similar to the donor survey, also she's working on a project survey. And so any ideas on how to give out rewards for people who complete this survey? I would agree with Ashley. Yeah, 10 times 70 nice tokens seems like a lot. That's equivalent to about $700 worth of donations. So something to consider there.
Shall I submit a fresh poll with a more realistic allocation for the rewards based on?
Well, let's see what other people say. You know, let's maybe get some more ideas, and then you make another follow-up poll.
Okay.
Up to you, though. Your post, your rules. Anything else to add to this one? Rewards for project survey respondents.
Your post, your rules is really deep. I love it.
Yeah. Maybe a small anecdote here on the forum stuff. I noticed a lot of people make multiple choice polls. And if you look on here, I can vote for both. Oh, I can only vote for one. Never mind. I said nothing.
My
Anyway,
rules.
yeah, your rules. I said nothing. Good. I have nothing else to talk about. There's just a few other PSAs here. Q4 NRGive distribution open until February 2nd. If you miss the boat, you cannot claim it retroactively. 55 NRGive and contributors before or since October 1st, 2022. And just some questions here, I think, that are still sort of unresolved for us. People who ask for NRGive, we should assume that they're not on their trial period. And do they need a role proposal? What do you guys think? No, nothing. Tough gig.
I think yes. I think it's important.
Okay. Should they not be on their trial period?
Yeah, definitely. I think that you only start we could say that your trial period kind of counts towards you being part of a quarter, because trial periods are usually like 1 to 2 months. But you can't apply for NRGive if you're on a trial period. I don't think that's, well, I don't know. That's what I think. Because I feel like trial period is still just trial periods won't last a whole quarter, and they need to be around for a whole quarter in order to be eligible. So
sometimes they keep going, though. It's like, if we're not sure, then it's like another month, and not sure, it's like...
I don't think it's ever been 4 months. Or, okay.
I don't know. Go ahead, Griff.
I can't imagine that this would apply, but if someone's still on their trial period, I think it makes sense that if by the end of this month, I mean, it's literally, there's 4 months. If by the end of that month, I guess I would say yes, they should still be able to apply, but we might vote against it, right? Because in the end, I think we would vote against it.
And I think also, like, somebody who's applying for the first time needs somebody else to apply for them. So it's like, I mean, if somebody's on their trial period and they ask me to make a proposal for them requesting tokens, I would just be like, no, it doesn't apply because you're not on your trial period. I just wouldn't. So I don't know.
Maybe to that next point, I feel like there's a lot of like ambiguity, like when somebody is done their trial period. Because I don't even know. I'm like, are you still in your trial period, or like, do you work for Giveth? Like,
Yeah, I think that the trial period ends when like the time period ends and then the buddy gives them like a pass. The buddy needs to fill out a form saying like this person passes their trial, or I recommend them to pass their trial period. And then they need to make their role proposal and get it up on the forum and then have it voted on, I think, to then like officially be done with their trial period. I think that that's how it should work. Because I like that the trial period should end when the DAO says yes to the contributor.
yeah, Giant Kin just wrote that as well. Like, trial ends with the role proposal. Like, that seems clear to me. But interesting enough, I noticed that, like, for example, let's look at this. Algene applied for Energive, and we all voted on it. But Algene doesn't have a role proposal. But, like, collectively, we all know that, like, Algene's been here for, like, a year. And she, like, works and does really important things. So it's like, for me, I was going through this, and I was like, where does this gray area sort of lie with us?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we should probably encourage Algene to make like a Giveth role proposal. Because I do think that things we were just discussing are like, yeah, good rules. But sometimes we end up with somebody, like somebody like Algene who's been like working like, but kind of through Griff and then gets more integrated with the team and then, yeah. But I think it would be even better. I think it would also just be valuable for everybody to know like, who might not know Algene, like what she does, and have all this information like readily available on the forum in case they're like, who's this Miss Jean character? I never heard of her. And then you can just go search her on the forum and find her role proposal and be like, oh, cool, she's helping with testing and a bunch of admin work.
You were going to say something, Nico?
Sorry, I just go back in. I kind of talking about role proposals. I kind of missed a bit about what you were talking. So.
Oh, we were just saying like when the trial period ends, like, you know, the trial period ends officially like when they have that role proposal up. Because I mean, like, we're asking because for me it's not always clear. Like, if they don't have a role proposal, I'm like, what's their status, you know?
Oh, yeah. When the trial period ends, we have the post-trial call. And from there, it's not necessary that they have a role proposal, according to Frischel. Those who are only contributing minimum hour, small hours, like 5 hours, they don't need to have role proposals. For those that put large amount of hours in Giveth, they have to put up their role proposals. As soon as they are done with their trial period, we try our best to have the post-trial call so that we can have the role proposal up in the forum for voting. So after the trial period, the last date of the trial period, until the approval in Aragon, the final voting, from that day, after that one, we're gonna send them the work agreement, and then that's the official date. When the role proposal is already approved, and then the work agreement is already there. So, yeah, that's it. I'm not sure if I was super clear, but yeah. If you have any questions with it, if someone is not if there's unclear things about it, just message me so that I can explain it further. And
yeah, I think it's just like, because when people are asking for Energive, it's like it's not always clear to me if they don't have a role proposal. I'm like, I don't know what this person does, so I might not have enough context to vote either yes or no. So, go ahead, Nico. Go ahead, Griff, or whatever.
I think we need to walk a fine line of like, if someone's contributing on and off here and there, do they need a role proposal or not? And it seems like it's a lot of extra bureaucracy for a role proposal for, someone who's just contributing. But at the same time, if they're contributing and they, want in our give, I think the bigger question is like, is that a line? Like, should contributors that are only working less hours, so few hours that they don't need a role proposal, should they be allowed to get in our give tokens? And I would go for yes if they want it personally, because I like more of an open reputation system than not. But that doesn't mean that that's what we should do. I default open pretty hard. So there are cons of giving so many tokens out. So
yeah,
I vote open too. I think that maybe we have activity. It also should depend on whether they're going to be active in voting, because I know that there's people who have been around for a while that don't really participate in voting very much, so they don't even request NR Give. So I think activity kind of plays a part in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the idea of having an open reputation system as long as it's not an active hindrance, Like if we have so many people that like all of a sudden like where it's getting so hard to pass things, that would be a concern of mine. I think the big thing is like we can always vote no, which I think is something we don't like exercise enough, like voting no. We just assume that it's like, oh, it's all good, and then we just like vote yes. But if we leave it open, like people can just apply, and there's not really a lot of rules, but then like more encouraged for people just to vote no and like express their actual opinion. But it's hard to have the context when there's like 40, 45 people labeled as contributors. So, well, just to get some finality on this, like, I think they should not be on their trial period. But I'm curious what people think, like, if they need a role proposal or not to apply for NR Give.
Do you think it would be better if we put a forum post, have more discussion on this, Mitch?
Okay. Good. I'll probably just piggyback onto something else I've written and put a poll in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Last thing I got here is buddy reviews. Sounds like lots of you are having your buddy review calls, which is great. And just a reminder for the rest of you, every quarter, check out this guide. And there's 2 different forms that you can fill out. There's a self-review form to give feedback on yourself and for Giveth as an organization. And there's also a contributor feedback form to give feedback on any Giveth contributor. You can do this at any time you want, but especially before somebody's buddy call, it's always really nice to fill these out so they have lots of stuff to talk about and help them get better. If you're planning to do buddy call, make sure you let Nico know, and make sure that you tag your fellow unicorns so that they can fill out this feedback form ahead of the call. And I think that's it. Were there any topics with the last 17 minutes that you guys wanted to dive into? Denver budget? Oh, the budget thing for today. Well, do we know what we want to talk about? Sure.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm thinking that first of all, we need to have an assessment of what budget we have to allocate across the working groups, and then maybe start working back from there. Because we've got a pretty good indication now of how people's how people are contributing across the working group, how many hours they're spending in each. We've got an idea of costs across the working group. So if we have the starting point of what we've got to allocate, then we can start from there and look at the data that we've been collecting over the last few months. So that's
Okay.
probably a bigger discussion, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious how you guys want to do it. Like, once we know how much we need to spend on each working group, like, there's different levels that we can do here of bureaucracy. So we can have, every working group become like a sub DAO, or we can run out of one DAO and just like have, working group leads that like keep track of the budget. It'll be a little bit more hierarchical because all of a sudden you have these leads that are kind of like having the power of managing budget, or we can create like a voting system for each working group, and then they can more holistically manage how they spend their money. So there's more of like a top-down traditional manager style of managing the budget, or we could create something that's more complicated but like more horizontal through creating sub-DAOs.
Could we do something more horizontal, like one step at a time, or is it something a complex system we'd have to create before we could start using it? Could we just start small and then go horizontally step by step?
I would wonder what those increments would look like,
Well, I know at one point in time when we did this like HR upgrade, you had brought up a forum post that had some really good ideas in there with different tokens and stuff that we could use even within our own DAO. It might be nice to revisit some of those ideas and see if that sparks anything new. But I mean, I do like the idea of, just starting out small and not needing to build a huge whole complex system. But I don't really want to have one person, from each group be in charge of the budget either. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's a third option, but go ahead, Monique.
I think there's a model for having these KPIs. If we design the working group along with specific products, that the result is going to be measurable, so we can make sub-DAOs out of it. But currently, for example, outcomes are distributed among lots of different working groups that they cannot hold the responsibility over it. For example, for bringing the users, comms is engaged, QA is engaged, devs are engaged, and these different working groups their outcome cannot be kind of measurable. So we cannot make them DAO until we have a kind of a team for a specific purpose. Is for example revenue or bringing users. So our definition of the working groups are at the first step I told that is it okay that we define working group, but at least for the circles, let's have kind of a specific mission that can be measurable.
Yeah, I think the main thing we should think about is like, rather than try to force people to group together around certain things, like, let's look at how organically they've already like come into play. Because I mean, if you just look at like what Claire shared here, like these are how people interpret themselves as contributing, and you can see kind of how organically these work streams sort of evolve rather than trying to force them together into labels that we decided beforehand. So how does that work? How do we go ahead, Claire?
I was just going to say that Nico and Freshel did some work on trying to define our working groups based on what we'd put in our role proposals and came together with like a summary of what each working group does. So maybe this could be a starting point for starting to put some measures around what the working groups are achieving based on what people are already doing within those working groups.
What if we started with circle budgets rather than working group budgets? That gives us only 3 rather than 17.
Definitely circle budgets, and we might have to debate. We would definitely have to debate which groups are in which things. I wouldn't say that the grouping is perfect right now.
Yeah, I agree. We would have to revisit that for sure, and maybe even the stewards and stuff again. But maybe having 3 budgets rather than 17 would be a better place to start first.
That's a good idea. So what I originally envisioned is like we would just inside of our same reputation DAO, so inside of the inner Give DAO, we can have multiple different voting apps and different tokens. So we could have like a platform token and a governance token and a comms or community token, whatever, and then everybody who's considered in there will get like a weight, and maybe there's a lead that has like a little bit more weight or whatever you want to do it like that, and then they can have their own voting app where they can pass their budgets, and it's all scoped within those particular voting tokens. And they could even have their own treasury. We can give them a vault that can hold their treasury in there, and then the voting app controls the treasury. You can go that route.
I really like this idea, and I remember reading about it when you first wrote about it. I really like it, and it seems a lot less daunting when we're only thinking about 3 different sub-DAOs rather than so many.
The only caveat, and this is just like a visual thing, is that like if we ever stop using them and move to something else, there's no way to remove them. So something to think about.
I mean, I know we can't make people burn their tokens whenever they leave a circle or a working group or something like that. And even with our NRGive tokens, we can't make people burn them. But maybe it's part of like our exit, our offboarding procedure is that like, you burn your governance tokens if you're no longer going to participate.
We can vote to burn them.
Oh, we can?
Yeah, the DAO.
Yeah, we can just vote to burn their tokens. It's fine.
Even from their wallet without them signing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the token is a smart contract. It's not like Bitcoin. It's just a smart contract with a balance array that says this address has a
number.
Okay.
Yeah, and so who has the ability to change those numbers? The DAO. The DAO can just print tokens whenever it wants.
Okay.
It can print it and it can burn it.
So your wallet address is really just allowing you access to use the token. It's not really holding it.
Yep. Same with Bitcoin, actually.
Okay.
I mean, that's how all crypto works. It's a key. It's not a wallet.
I think so. There's 2 routes if we go the Aragon way. We create it all within the reputation DAO, or we spin up 3 separate sub DAOs to control their own treasury. Yeah.
Into our DAO, and I don't know if it's because they're active votes, because when we did the NRGive distribution, it seemed like the more active votes there were, the slower it went. So maybe it's just the active votes, but I know it also has to load like a historical thing. So it's definitely something to consider. I would love to have them all in one place if we could, but if it's going to hinder our speeds and connectivity, then maybe we consider the other route.
This is also a conversation I have with Kai about just improving the underlying infrastructure because just Aragon is buggy for lots of reasons.
Oh, I just on that topic quickly. Some mentioned that they're like building something now, like a new app or something related to Aragon that's going to make the loading way better and faster, and then it'll be ready in a few months.
Thank God.
Okay. Cool. Are there any other ideas around this, like the practical implementation of budgeting? Anything we missed or other ideas?
I mean,
or, you know.
Are we going to manage transparent payments, or are we going to just like send the payments out and yeah. Accountability on budgets, like we send money to Freshell and then Freshell sends out the payments in our secret ways, or do we have something separate? Like, are we going to send each individual payment's going to be a vote? I mean, I don't know. And maybe that's for each circle to decide. I've tried both, and I really don't like transparent payments as much. There's money sucks, and transparent payments have their pros and cons, and non-transparent payments have their pros and cons. And I think I personally like non-transparent payments. Unfortunately, it's not my ideal solution, but I think it works better.
This old can of worms.
Yeah, but I think if we go this route, each circle can decide on their own how they want to do it.
What if each circle submits?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just curious. What if each circle submits each month the final amount after finalizing the hours? I don't know. But and then we could vote on it. Maybe.
I think the budget needs to be made in advance.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think it should be made in advance. And I like your idea that each circle can kind of determine how they want to do it. Not only will it let it be naturally accustomed to what that circle needs, but it will also let us see different methods and how they work at the same time.
Another awkward question while we're on the topic, or while we're in the flow. How does this even work with just this whole scheme of just like getting reimbursements from Griff? Do we set aside the give that we need and then we send that to Griff, or how does this work?
I think it basically ends up the same, because right now we're in this holding pattern where effectively I am investing into Giveth every so often, but eventually we are going to get some real funding coming in that can cover the stuff. So if we're prepared to work with it, that's better than if we're not. And yeah, I mean, in the end, I'm just buying give tokens every month, right? That's what I'm doing. So
okay. So then would it make sense then just to get this system in place, we just do it with give?
Yeah.
We submit the amount of give we need that's held in the NR give, and then we calculate the payments, and then each working group would need to send their give to you essentially as like a reimbursement.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want. I mean, we could do this off chain and just do it. We'll do it on chain, but just with culture and no transactions. I think that's a little simpler because there's going to be a bunch of time delay between, getting the give and then making another transaction and and then the exchange rate goes up or down, and then I'm buying give cheaper or I'm buying give more expensive. Like, that just sounds kind of silly. I feel like just doing it with fiat numbers makes a lot more sense. And then when we get to the reality of we actually have money, I feel like we would want to do treasury management so that we have enough. I would hope that we do enough treasury management, that we have the fiat runway for the next several months, and we try to maintain that so that we're requesting, stable coins and not give tokens.
And so then each working group ahead of when it needs to spend would be like basically requesting like a fiat number that's not actually requesting any money from the DAO for their circle budget.
Yeah, but they're managing their budget, and and the DAO can say no, you don't get that much money. You have to resubmit. So there's some accountability, and there's some in advance management that's a lot more decentralized than me just being like, okay, we need to cut budget, guys. I'm gonna ask individuals to take less hours and fire some people, or I'm going to hire some people. What do I know about some of these circles? I really don't. I just have to hear what other people say. I feel like hopefully you guys can cut me out of some of these decisions and decide yourselves that we need a new designer, or we need to get we need a smart contract developer, whatever. And then make the budget to do it, argue your case, and then the DAO votes.
So this is great. Thanks for bringing this up, Ashley. This was a really good convo. We are at the top of the hour, but I think to move forward on this, I will look to Claire to set something up, and we can talk about numbers, and then maybe we can also make a clear starting point for all the DAO stuff as well. I think we can easily spend it.
Great. I feel a lot. I think so too, and I feel a lot of movement forward though, and it feels great. I'm glad we did use the time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And just another anecdote here from Marco, moving to an outcome-based roadmap. A clear vision of outcomes we want to achieve. Based on that, we will set OKRs, which are used to define KPIs. Thanks, Marco.
Yeah.
Your battery made it. I'm so surprised. Okay. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll do this again.